Thomas the Hermit, and this is my YouTube channel. I am a lay hermit. I'm a man of prayer, going on about 35 years, and I also talk about other things that are of concern to me that are happening within the Catholic Church. But today's topic is not about any political issues or conservative issues. Today's topic is about prayer, and I'm continuing my series, Teresa of Avila, the Great Teacher of Prayer. And today we are furthering the information about self-knowledge. Now, self-knowledge is a pretty universal concept within many different forms of spirituality. But in Catholic spirituality, in Teresian spirituality, there's a particular form of self-knowledge. There's two of them, and today we're going to cover one of those, and then I'm going to make another video about an even higher form of self-knowledge. Now, she starts off by saying, this has to do with the interior castle. This is from the interior castle. The soul must not be compelled to remain for a long time in one single room. Because remember, she describes that the interior castle is full of many different rooms. Not at least unless it is in the room of self-knowledge. Now, what is she talking about? Self-knowledge. Now, I made a previous video about the form of self-knowledge that has to do with the fact of becoming to understand that you're highly distracted, and that is one of the reasons why you can't pray. Now, that's a particular form of self-knowledge, but we're going to go into a deeper form of self-knowledge than that. And this room of self-knowledge is about the self. Now, I covered a little bit about self-love and the self-knowledge about that the castle is like a diamond that Teresa of Avila says, and it has great dignity and beauty. But that's not the kind of self-knowledge that she's talking about now. We open with the fact that the castle has great beauty. Now we're going to see that the castle is dirty. This is the form of self-knowledge that we begin to enter into in prayer. And when we quiet ourselves down and begin to look at ourselves, the fruits that we begin to develop will strengthen us for an even greater journey. And that greater journey is accessible to all of us Christians. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that right now, but Teresa of Avila asserts that all people can reach very high levels of prayer. Now, I'm not going to dispute that with anyone, because it's Teresa of Avila herself who has said that. I'll be getting back to that in another video in the future. But for now, we're going to talk about self-knowledge, because it is the stepping stone. Okay? Now, it is a fact that in the Russian practice of the prayer of the heart, the foundational prayer is, Lord Jesus, Son of David, have mercy upon me, for I am a sinner. And in the Philokalia, the principal writings of the Russian Orthodox prayer of the heart, a monk must stay in this form of prayer before he moves on to meditating upon the Psalms. He should stay there for a long time so that humbleness can be engendered within the monk. Now, Teresa is saying the same thing. Humility has got to constantly be doing its work. She says, like bees making honey, humility needs to be constantly doing its work. Now, one of the things that I made is I did a rosary about inner healing. Now, a particular rosary of inner healing where we meditate upon the passion of the Lord in the rosary that I made, and I suggest you check that out. I tried to expose the inner self a little bit more and the brokenness that we all are trying to hide. Now, this brokenness and woundedness and everything like that that is there within us is something that we need to allow ourselves to become aware of. Now, there's many forms of different things, and my list is not extensive at all. I'm just making a few points for you to think about. anger and impatience, lack of charity, cowardice, fears, psychological brokenness, neuroses, psychoses, the woundedness from childhood, or the weaknesses that we have, our proclivity to fall into sin. Examination of conscience is a part of this self-knowledge. Being aware of your sinfulness, possibly going to confession regularly, needs to be a part of a person who is staying in the room of self-knowledge. I cannot describe to you the degrees. I have spent, as I keep telling everyone, I've spent a large part of my life in the dark night of the senses. In that dark night, in the purgative state, as it is called. It has taken years. How many day after day of healing has been happening to me? Why did I have need of so much inner healing? How much inner healing do you need? I do not want to discourage anyone. Rather, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to take the hand of Jesus and allow this journey to happen. You will not regret it. Everything gained, everything that you gain, everything that you deal with, everything that you turn over to the Lord will be to your credit. It will be a valuable gem. It will be a diadem. Teresa of Avila says that no matter how high a state a person goes in prayer, they will always need to go back to the room of self-knowledge. Here's the quote. However high a state the soul may have attained, self-knowledge is incumbent upon it, and this it will never neglect, even should it so desire. Humility must always be doing its work. Also, in her autobiography, she says that she had a confessor that told her venial sins were not a big deal. She says that venial sins are a big deal on the journey to perfection. Now, I don't want to discourage anyone. Look, if a person like me can even begin to open up the door to the prayer of quiet, and certainly a lot of you guys out there who probably are not, really as messed up as I was, can get there a little bit quicker and faster. And no, that doesn't mean that I'm greatly a humble person. This is called truth. This is truth. The truth is I probably had a great distance to go. Now, if I can do it, then a lot of you guys can do it too. It's not as big a deal as we think it is. It is beautiful to walk with Jesus into higher and higher states of prayer with Him. Now, in the interim of all of this, I want to put a caution, and Teresa of Avila gives this caution. This is her quote. Yet one can have too much of a good thing. She's talking about staying in the mansion of self-knowledge, that we can't just stay there. And that's where I'll be ending this session, and I'll be opening up another video on a higher form of self-knowledge, because if we're just beating up on ourselves, we will become too timid to make the journey of prayer. Do not meditate upon the broken self so much so that you can't fly towards Jesus. And we're going to catch that in the next video that I'll be making, furthering Teresa of Avila and self-knowledge. This is Thomas the Hermit. I am saying a prayer for you. Say a prayer for me, and I'll talk to you later.